2021, I am going to be a little ambitious, but in a way that it is going to be attainable.
It was at this moment that she knew. She fucked up.
What a year 2021 turned out to be. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Bree Buonomo. Hi if you're new here, or hey if you've been here before. And today we're going to be talking about how my 2021 goals went. Whether I met them, completely failed, kind of went somewhere in the middle. And if you can't tell from the intro of this video, you know, we tried. So I'm going to preface this video before I dive into the specific goals that I set myself, that when I made these goals for 2021, it was the beginning of December 2020. At that time, I had just started a brand new job. I had left my company on November 27th. For the previous company I worked for, I moved into a new job on November 30th, and I've been there for a year now, and a lot of things had happened all at once and all of a sudden, which made all of the goals I made for myself with reading and writing kind of chaotic. And in my 2021 reading goals video, I said this: unless for some reason my life drastically changes so much and I think I'm gonna have to read less. And yeah, something life-altering did happen. I decided to go back to grad school to finish up the credits I needed in order to obtain my counseling licensure. I know I've said this in videos in the past, but I have a master's degree in psychology, and in Pennsylvania, I need specific credits and a certain amount of credits in order to get a counseling licensure. So just having a master's degree in psychology does not automatically guarantee that I can get licensed as a counselor. And because of that, I had to go back and take credits. And to be honest, that happened so quickly. I joined the job in December of 2020 that I have now in order to do this. Like, that was my plan all along, was to go back to grad school. But of course, I kind of got into comfortable habits, and I didn't think it was going to happen as quickly as it did, but I am thankful that it happened this way so that I can just get it over with and not have to think more on it. But that said, that meant that most of the goals I set out for myself, you know, didn't go so well. So let's talk about the 2021 goals I had and whether or not I met them. Starting with the writing goals I made. So in 2020, I decided that I wanted to have Querypalooza in 2021, and that didn't happen at all. I did not query in 2021. The first goal I made for myself was that I wanted to query Project Gold, which was my co-written project with my co-writer Caitlin, and was a genre-hopping adult fantasy story that we had been working on for quite some time. I'm going to leave a video linked in the cards above that can go through our entire journey of that book, because we decided pretty early on in 2021, I think it was like February, that our book was too ambitious and we actually had multiple plot lines going on, that it was almost too hard for them to intersect properly at that point. So we were going to split the book up into 3 different books following 3 different sets of characters, and we weren't going to have them meet necessarily how we initially planned it. What we kind of would love to do is kind of have a situation like Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere, where like all of the books are in the same universe, but they might not cross like we would at, you know, passing in the street. Like, they might be mentions of other things, but they will never actually have the same story. But that's all talked about in the video of our From Conception to Query, so I won't talk about what we're doing, but because of that, my whole goal around querying Project Gold was kaput. Underneath that goal, I had 2 sub-goals. One was to get some professional analysis on our book, but we ended up scrapping that idea completely because we decided to just go ahead and tear the book apart. So that never happened. And then we also wanted to submit to Author Mentor Match, which we did, and we didn't get a single interest in our book. And that's actually what led us to think that there is something pretty structurally wrong with the book itself, because we spent a lot of time trying to make the query letter and synopsis pretty perfect. And because we didn't even get someone asking to see a partial, we were like, there's something majorly wrong. And when we sat and thought on that, it was the plot itself. So that's where that goal went. The second goal I had for myself in 2021 was to query Prophecy Project. So this had quite a few like sub goals underneath it, because ultimately I wanted to query Prophecy Project by June 30th. That didn't happen. I wanted to get everything ready, and partially, I think because of applying to grad school, I kind of got in a tizzy and I had a lot of anxiety, and there was just so much going on in my mind that I couldn't focus. So I partially blame that, but also I just don't think it was in the cards. I think I was rushing myself. And while I might have been able to do it, I was rushing myself in the end. And I just think how my project was going, it was much better that I drew it out. I first and foremost wanted to get feedback from a critique exchange I was doing. I got some of that. I think I got up to chapter 8, and then my critique partner fell off the face of the earth. I don't know what happened to her. She was a very lovely human. I know we had a few weeks where we were both very busy, and I had taken a little bit of time to get back to her, and then when I responded finally, she never answered me again. I followed up like 2 months later and never heard from her. So I did use the feedback she provided me, but unfortunately that didn't pan out the way I wanted it to. What I did accomplish was my read through, because I wanted to finish the edits that I had and then go through and read through the entire novel and make notes handwritten. And I did that. That was accomplished. So sub goal complete. I also then wanted to edit the book once more and find other critique partners, which I'm currently in. So I did edit, and I have a complete draft 4 done of Prophecy Project, and it is currently out with readers. I asked them to maybe try to get it back to me by the end of the year, but I didn't have a rush because I knew that between NaNoWriMo and the holidays, it might be hard. But I am hoping to get that feedback back in early January, so that way I can finish up anything in January and hopefully then truly query in February. Because the last thing of this sub goal was to complete my query letter and synopsis. I have both started, and I am slowly making my way through in December of making them perfect, or as perfect as they can be. And I have the query letter, like the actual meat of my query letter, which is the hardest part to do, of the what's your story, what's your hook. I have that done. Still needs editing, but at least I have a draft of that. The synopsis, I'm about a quarter of the way through, and then I'm going to go through and make it a little bit more presentable, because right now it's literally just statements like, what are they doing? Here you go. But I have half that done, so maybe not a full goal accomplished, but I can check off, like, make half a slash on that. And as stated, this is where things started to get really ambitious, and I couldn't keep up with the amount of grad school papers I had to do. I really wanted to finish my Project Mermaid, which was my 2020 NaNoWriMo novel that I got about 40-some thousand words into. The problem is that I did not continue it in the month of December, and that was probably a mistake because I started to forget what I was writing, and I took so much time away that I looked at it in November and went, what is even happening? So at this point, I did not finish Project Mermaid. I think I might have written like 3 sentences in it. And then I decided that I'm going to have to go through, reread everything I wrote and maybe outline a little bit. So that way, when I finally get back to it, I can just easily jump into it. Similarly, I wanted to edit my Project Micah, which is my sci-fi novella. I did it as a short story initially, but I ended up seeing more potential as a novella because I think the story itself is complete in a short amount of words, but I do think I can beef it up and make it a little bit more intriguing and kind of add the depth that I want to add to it. So I did want to edit that, and unfortunately did not get to it. And I kind of knew by the time I hit grad school, like full swing in the summer, that it was not going to happen. The last goal I had for writing was a goal I can say I completed entirely. And that was to write a poem a day for Camp Nano April. And I did. In April 2021, I wrote a poem every single day for a total of 30 poems. I did a kickoff party for that, which wasn't a sub goal of mine. I wanted to do a live stream on day 1, and I did. And additionally, which I did not plan, but I ended up doing an entire challenge video week with my friends Zara Hoffman and Maddie Monahan. And we got up and wrote, like physically wrote at 5 a.m. So we got up like between 4:30 and 5 and wrote at 5 a.m. But I will leave that video linked above if you guys want to go check out that challenge video. And that's all my writing goals that I set out for myself in 2021. Obviously, I didn't really anticipate going into grad school so quickly. Again, I knew I took this job in order to be able to do that because the time of my work hours benefited like when I would be able to go to school, because my last job did not. It was too chaotic. But I think like it was so scary that I didn't want to actually go forward with it until someone told me like, just do it now or you're not going to be able to. And I was like, okay, let's just jump headfirst into this. And I didn't look back. So because of that, I didn't get nearly as much writing with creativity that I wanted, but I did write a lot of papers. So there's that. Now I want to review the reading goals I set out for myself. And I had quite a few of them. I don't know why I thought I was going to be so ambitious, but we might have had a similar fate. So first and foremost, every single year I set out a goal for myself to read 52 books in the year. And normally I have no problem hitting that. I did not. As the day I'm filming this and as the day it's going up, I have not read 52 books. Surprisingly, I have read 30 books, all things considered, including textbooks. Like I actually, over the summer, I read 2 full textbooks, like cover to cover, because that was what was required for my class. I didn't count them in my reading goal, but still read them. But yeah, so I read 30, physical audiobooks, ebooks in the year, plus those 2 textbooks if you want to count them. And I think that's pretty good because I don't even know when I found the time to read. So apparently I did somewhere. Of those 52 books, I initially said in my video that I wanted to read 5 or 6 big books. And then I changed it to say that I wanted to read the Passage series by Justin Cronin, which is 3 full books, over 500 pages, as well as the Brandon Sanderson Way of Kings series, which was 4 books that were massive. And, we didn't do so hot. I didn't read any Brandon Sanderson. I'll just get that out of the way. I wanted to, I had all the intentions to, but again, how big they were and how detailed they were, and me being in the midst of classes and classwork, I just kind of bowed out of that completely because I felt that I wouldn't be able to give the attention to it and it would stress me out more. So maybe 2022, we will maybe get to that series, but I think I'm going to stop making myself try to like say who I'm going to read or what I'm going to read, because that always gets me in trouble. So we didn't read Brandon Sanderson at all. The Passage series, I read 2 of the 3 books. I read The Passage and I read The 12. The Passage was 766 pages long and The 12 was 568. So both of them were over 500 and I had mixed reviews. I really enjoyed The Passage, kind of hated The 12. But because of how The 12 went, me and Autumn Ashley decided that we were going to skip reading the last book in the series, which was The City of Mirrors. We did live streams for both of them. I will leave them linked down below if you want to go back and look at our discussions in depth. Otherwise, though, I should have kept my original goal of 5 to 6 big books because I read 6 books. In addition to The Passage and The 12, I started the year by finishing Lightbringer by Claire Legrand, which was 592 pages. I read Legendborn by Tracy Dion, which was 501 pages, just snuck in there. I read To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Polini, which was 878 pages. I read A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas, which was 757 pages. And I read Lore by Alexander Bracken, which was 551 pages. So all in all, the fact that I got 6 big books out of the 30 that I read is pretty insane. And all in all, I'm not going to get the 52 books, but I'm not going to say that I won't read a couple more before the year ends, just because I will have some time in between Christmas break. And I always love reading a good book on New Year's Eve. That's just been my flow for most years when I've been home, and I love doing that. So we might finish one before the ball drops. As mentioned, another goal I had was to do buddy reading live streams where we read a book and then talk about it on a live stream. And I completed 2 of those in the year. They were both with Autumn Ashley. One was on my channel, one was on hers, and they were for The Passage and the 12. I tried to do one with my gamer friends over on Twitch. It had mixed success because we would talk about the book a little bit and then we would just game and forget about we were talking about the book. There was no really readers in that live stream anyway. If anyone popped in, which probably no one did, they were probably there for the game. And I think we played Apex Legend. And like I said, we got just distracted. So I don't think mixing gaming and book discussions is going to be in my future. And here's where I shame myself a little bit more. I told myself that I wanted to read 2 classics in the year 2021, and I read none. Similarly, I wanted to read 2 Stephen King books, and I read none. And additionally, I wanted to read and finish reading the poetry book of Robert Frost's entire collection, and I didn't pick that up a single time. So I don't know why I tried to set these specific goals. I did want to challenge myself, but I think I anticipated having more free time than I did when I chose them, because I was like, oh, well, I'll do these with buddy reads, or I'll do them in the month of October. The month of October for me, for like the Stephen King horror, did not work out because I was extremely busy and I had a wedding and I had this and that and the other things. So yeah, I think I was, again, just a little too ambitious, but I'm hoping I'll get somewhere next year with those. I don't think I'm gonna make them an actual goal this time. I also wanted to do a video where my followers pick my TBR. I was going to do this where I was going to pick books that have been sitting on my shelves for a long time and do a video where I kind of compared the 2 books. Like I gave you a synopsis of one book and a synopsis of another book. For instance, 2 books with fairy main characters. I would compare those and have you guys pick them. And again, I didn't do that, mostly because of school, and I figured I am a mood reader, so if I tried to commit to those books while I was doing classwork and I just couldn't finish them, I would be a little bit devastated and disappointed in myself, so I didn't want to put myself up to that standard. But I still would like to do this video, so if anyone has interest in it, let me know, and maybe I will just try to do that like right off the gate in 2022. The last 2 goals on this list were ones that I think I successfully completed. The first one was that I wanted to watch at least 5 book adaptations in the new year. I said ideally I would love to read the book before I watch the adaptation, but I didn't say that that was like an absolute necessity. I just thought maybe I could if I was able to. And I did watch at least 5. Off the top of my head, I watched Dune, the movie, Shadow and Bone, the series on Netflix, the Wheel of Time series on Amazon Prime, All the Bright Places, which was a movie on Netflix based on the book by Jennifer Niven. And the last one I'm going to count, which is kind of a cheat code, but I'm counting it, is True Blood. So I rewatched True Blood with my husband, who watched it for the first time. But the reason I'm counting it is also because I continued reading the books in the year 2021. And I've just been having a really good time with the books. And I was just so happy to jump into True Blood again. Like, I loved it so much. And it was a good time. Additionally, I also rewatch Lord of the Rings every year, so you can technically count that if you want. So I definitely watched a lot of movie adaptations. There was probably more because sometimes I watch things and don't realize they're adapted from a book, but I have watched a decent amount of TV and movies, so I probably have missed one. And if I do, maybe I'll leave it in like a comment down below. And the last goal that I think I successfully did was that I was going to kind of put myself on a book buying ban. And I was trying to limit myself and how much I bought to only the books that I pre-ordered and really wanted, and any books that I got in book boxes. And I did that, actually. I did that completely successfully. The only books I bought this year were from those 2 sources. I didn't go to the store. I didn't do like a book outlet haul because I've been famous for doing them every year just when I get a little stressed. And even though I always get the emails, I pretty much would delete them immediately. I wouldn't even look at what they said. I just really didn't buy books this year. So I'm happy about that. I did sell a couple books, and I also did a whole video on giving books to free little libraries that either I wasn't going to read, I didn't want anymore, or I read and didn't like. So if you're interested in that video, I'll leave that in the cards above. And that is it. That is the goals that I set for myself in 2021 and how I did with them. I think I did pretty good, all things considered. I mean, I definitely missed a ton of goals. Like, I didn't even come close to some of them, but I think I had good reason. I decided to further my education in order to further my career by getting licensed. Being licensed as a counselor will bring me a lot more opportunities than I have currently. And of course, will likely raise the pay that I can receive, which is always a benefit because being an unlicensed clinician has a lot of drawbacks, especially with pay, but also with where I can practice. I'm very limited to where I can practice, which sucks. And I know that I want to keep doing this, even if I do become a published author. Like, I want to have both in my life. So I think this is going to be the best decision for me, and I'm glad I was able to do it. So despite all the stress that it has caused me this year and the fact that I missed a lot of goals because I went back to school, I think that itself did very well. So on that note, guys, let me know what you think. Do you agree that I still did pretty good with my goals, even though I didn't meet all of them? Let me know how your own goals for 2021 went. If you have videos, I would love to know about them, and I will go check them out. And be on the lookout for my next video, which will be setting my 2022 goals for writing, reading, and maybe some life ones in there. So thank you so much for watching, and until the next time, I'll see you then. Bye.